Next up we have Sarabjoth from Melbourne. Please come to the stage.
Hey, good evening everyone. My name is Sarabjoth and today I'm going to share part of my story with you about this time 1 year ago. I was in a little rural village in Uganda doing a bit of community service. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how I got there, why I went and what I got out of it. So a bit of background about me. I'm 26 years old now. I'm a physiotherapist and I remember graduating 4 years ago now and thinking the one thing that I would love to do is to travel to a developing country and work within the healthcare system over there to see what kind of services you can provide to people who are struggling with healthcare and just mortality in overseas countries. And I think, like most people, it sounded like an idea that was good and I'd love to be able to do it, but I never thought that I would ever be brave enough to actually make my way there by myself and actually do it. So it was something that fell off my priority list for many years, and then coming to these leadership camps, I've actually grown up coming through SYA, summer camps and leadership camps. There was always something within me that was just grumbling on the inside, thinking, you know, you have this little dream or vision. And it was just a great setting where we all started having open discussions about how we got involved with this, our backgrounds, a bit about what our cultural backgrounds were, a bit of religion and why some people really get involved in community service. And as a result of that, I actually walked away really energized and motivated, and I said, look, Sarabjoth, I think you can do this. And it was the first time that I actually believed in my goal, which was really exciting. So from there, getting the ball rolling, I think it was probably a combination of, for the first time, me believing that is something that I was going to do and I really wanted to do, that opportunities just presented themselves, maybe because my mind was open to it and I started looking around for how am I going to get to somewhere in Africa. At that stage I didn't even know where I was going to go. And I met this girl who was also a physiotherapist who'd been to Uganda, to this little village in Jinja, and she had volunteered there as a physiotherapist, which was amazing to hear. And so I thought, oh, I've got to get onto this. So off I went. I got the contact details of the organisation, and it was called Soft Power Education. And I emailed the project manager and said, you know, this is me and I want to come around and do a bit of volunteering there. And it was really easy to set up, actually. You just sort of needed to figure out when you were going to go and then get yourself there. So I managed to get the ball rolling on that fairly quickly, which was good. And then the biggest obstacle ever was telling the parents. So off I go to mum and dad saying, so I've kind of been thinking, right, maybe I want to go to Uganda for a couple of months by myself to do a bit of volunteering. And I think initially they were in complete shock, horror, disbelief. In fact, I think they thought it was just going through a phase. Oh, she'll get over it. But when I actually got through getting my airfares and things sorted, they actually did turn out to be quite supportive. I think me running through with them why I wanted to go, and just talking through that I'd looked into getting there, which organisation it was, and what I was going to be doing there. So anyway, that's just a start off. Okay, getting to Uganda. So once I'd gotten there, I settled into a homestay accommodation where 10 other volunteers stayed, and we were all doing different projects. But it was incredibly great because you felt like a local. You got up in the morning, had breakfast with the homestay mum, and went off to do the volunteering, which what I ended up doing was volunteering in a health clinic, and I worked with one of the local physiotherapists and an occupational therapist, and what we did was work with children who had neurological disabilities. So, for example, cerebral palsy and other motor neuron disease. And one of the main things was raising awareness within the communities that these conditions and children, to bring them into the clinic to get even the most basic of treatment and education. And it was an incredible experience. The best part was sort of seeing what kind of resources the local physio and OT used to make ankle and wrist splints and crutches and helmets and things like that. Just using paper mache techniques over several weeks, and they'd be able to actually make splints that they could then put into the children. And I also got to do a little bit of training with the local physio and OT, just running through, training about what kind of assessments and treatments we did here in Australia, and just talking through things, which was really great too, because they can then carry that on into practicing for years to come. Okay, well, I'll just sort of wrap it up now. But overall, I think the experience of going to Uganda was the most amazing thing for me that I've ever done. And I think I probably gained more than anyone out of it, even though I hope the community did too over there. But it was just a whole process of me actually believing in my goal, getting out there, doing something about it, and also knowing that there were going to be challenges all, at any point of the way, but overcoming them and thinking, how am I going to get over this? Being positive, and also being in a situation where you're out of your comfort zone, but learning how to adapt and making the most of what you have around you, which is a great lesson too. And I think just as a final note, doing a bit of community service and giving back to the community is one of the most positive things that you can experience for yourself as well as for those around you. And I know that going to Africa is pretty out there, but just little things like starting close to home, something local. And I know SYA was the building blocks for me, so that was always great. But yeah, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of inspiration about doing something like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarabjoth. That was fantastic. Nice, lovely sharing.